Welcome in, everyone. This is our flow recap for the week of 3/10/2025 to 3/14/2025. As always, we're going to go through the flow that was called out. We're going to look at the full range of the contracts, kind of what stood out on some of the contracts. Again, and there's a couple in here that were flow and chart setups, very nice setups for us. And again, as always, we're going to go through the full range of everything. Keep in mind, you're not expected to exit at the top range. Usually unrealistic, but I like to show everybody that just the full movement in the contract, just for context. And as always, I do like to show everybody that may be joining us for the first time. Everything is always called out in real time. I don't edit my posts or anything, so keep that in mind. And let's get started here. So first up on Monday, we're starting with Monday 3/10. So we had the 321.33 DraftKings puts. So we're going to look at the full range first, then kind of look at the actual flow. So this is a really interesting one. So this was our original entry here. 2,000 contracts at 45 cents per contract, so 90,000 on those. And we can see back here on the 10th, just kind of looking at that open interest to volume here. Can tell it's an opening trade just based on that. You can see majority of that carrying over. So these did make an intraday move here, and I'm going to pop this back to Monday so we can all take a peek. So here's how that whale looked on Monday. So you can see that whale coming in here pretty much right at open. You can see that kind of contract dove a little bit, but ended up kind of making a nice move here on the day, and these actually did hit 64 cents on the day, so those did move for 42.22% on those. That's a nice intraday move. I look for at least about 10-15% for a return on a flow scalp like this, flow trade, flow scalp, however you want to call it. Keep in mind, and this is a tip I like to tell everybody in every video, and I like to reiterate that it's a nice learning point. If you're up 10% on something, I like having stops at break even. 10% is a good return, even though you see a lot of people posting 500%. 10% consistently is a very good return. 10-15% obviously setting something at break even, at least secure some profits. But let's continue on here. Kind of like to just throw in some tips and tricks here. But so we can see most of that volume carrying over. So the interesting thing is here we had 2,100 contracts come in here on the 12th. So we'll come back here, and I want to pop this back out to the 7 days, and then we'll pop back and look at the flow. So we look at this one. So here is that whale. So to me, this is telling me that whale sold these contracts to somebody else at a loss at 11 cents. So these contracts did make that move from 45 again up to 64%. Those made a 42% move. Now, this is why I say you don't always need to follow the whale, because they do stuff like this. Now, let's look at that raw flow too here. So again, this one's going to not be the best example, but this came in right at open. Block trade here pretty much. 2,000 contracts, 90K. Looked good to me at the time. We'll have some other better examples here, but I can pop back here and we can look at Monday here. Can look at saw a lot of put volume here on Monday morning as well, so that's what kind of stuck out there. So those again moving from 45 to 64 cents per contract, 42.22%. Next up we have the 5/16 strategy or MSTR puts. These were filled at 12.25. Let's take a peek at the flow here. So again, here is our Monday flow, and actually I want to start it out at Monday. So here's our Monday flow. You can see the 2,300 contracts at 12.15. That's a 2.8 million premium on those. We look at the flow. Let me pop the results because I like to look at that full raw flow feed. There's a lot of people that don't. So we come down here, and this is a perfect example. We can see as that flow starts to come in, we're keeping an eye on that IV and that bid ask. So the bid ask is a little wider on this, and we're coming in at the ask. That spot price is just what that contract's being filled at. Again, following this up, you can see that IV staying up here. Little drop in the IV here, but then we can see that IV continues to increase here as well. Again, that spot price is increasing as well. So this is technically an ascending fill, but it's going to read as a descending fill because of small little drops like that, and that's not a lot of size to be kind of throwing off the trade. So again, and you're still closer to the ask there. But just watching that IV come up here, again, small drops here. We have some bid side, but then once again, see that IV popping up here. So on here, IV coming up, and that is our flow there. And we can see this has actually made a nice intraday move here, 12.15, and these hit on the 10th, 20 here towards close, actually a little bit before close. You can see that right here, about 2:10 Central Time or so, but really good, enough time here to secure profits on something like this. And I want to pop this out so we can see the full week now. So again, here's that whale. Again, there's that big move up. Again, even if you swung those into the next day, enough time to get out. Now again, we won't be able to tell for sure until Monday, but here's our red candle at 748. Again, just like the DraftKings whale, they don't always get the best exits. They don't get the best entries all the time. Option flow, I like to think of this as a guide, little sentiment marker here, just to kind of figure out, okay, well, maybe somebody's bullish on this. You don't have to exactly get in at that exact contract that whale's at. I like to, and this depends on kind of this, like 62 days. That whale's a little longer term on these, but kind of with market conditions and kind of combining all that data, like if you're looking at market tide and you see there's a lot of bearish sentiment, you can maybe grab them right away, but usually I like to find support resistance spots and all that to get the best entry I can. And actually I want to pop back to Monday one more time here. So again, and like I was saying, you look at Monday, your net put premiums are up, call premiums are bid side, a lot of put volume, so that's good there too. So again, the MSTR 516-180 puts 12.25 to a high of 20, so that's a 63% just intraday return there. Next up, we have the 321 SBUX 101 puts. I almost said Starbucks. Same thing, but I like to try to be as professional. So again, here's our entry, 925 contracts, 147. I have 149 on my spreadsheet. These actually hit a high here. So coming in here on the 10th, let's see, 10th, these hit a high of 540 on the 13th. So I want to pop out here. Actually, let's look at the raw flow first. So coming down here again, you can see right when that flow starts to come in, IV pops. It's a repeated hits ascending fill, just essentially means that fill is increasing as we go up. That IV is kind of staying up here. IV drops a little bit here. So that's kind of where that ascending full, or this is where you're seeing that ascending fill right here. So this is kind of where you can outweigh IV with kind of contract prices. I like the ascending fill, which outweighs the IV usually in my case, but kind of just depends. And obviously it's a little wider bid ask here too. So once you get time in the market and all that, you kind of can spot things like this. So that's that Starbucks flow. Again, you look at that net call premiums on the day, or net premiums on the day. Net put premiums are up. Net call premiums flat. Good put volume. And, oh, sorry, we should actually look at the full move here. So again, this one, it looks like that whale's slowly sizing out to me. So now this is a smart trader, in my opinion. You see small little red bid side candles here. To me, that's that whale exiting ever so slightly or passing contracts off to other people. See most of that carrying over, just kind of seeing small little changes, small little volume changes. And this whale could just be passing them off because you're not really seeing a big change in open interest. But very nice move here. Very smooth, nice move up on these contracts. And again, there's your 540 high yesterday on the 13th. So those contracts moving from 149 to 540. Really good move on those. So next up, So we had the 417 M15 calls. So let's pop back here because this was a little quicker trade, and you got to be quick when you're on some of these trades. But again, here's our entry 50. You can see that net call premium spiking, lots of call volume. Here's our flow. So again, 4162, you can see that coming in. Ask side fills. And you can see that IV increases as we get more repeated hits here. Spot prices at the ask. Look, the flow looks good. So now, when you're trading, I always tell people you kind of got to be watching stuff. You got to be monitoring or throw stops on something if you're not going to be able to watch. But 50, these kind of chopped down a little bit, but then we started to see them increase 50, 55, 56, 57, and we can see these hit a high of that 57 on the day. That's not a massive return, but again, that's 50 to 57. You might think, oh, that's only $7 a contract. That's technically a 14% return. That's a good return for a trade. Enough, and these were up enough where you kind of have time to put a stop on. I mean, these were at that 56, 57 for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. That's enough time to put a stop on. So this one, I'm kind of looking at it right now. And again, some of these whales might still be in. They could be hedging. We don't 100% know, but this whale's now, they're running at 14. So 33 days on those. Do what you want with some of this information, but I don't like chasing something after a move's kind of been made. But it looks like that whale's still in here. But those contracts did move for 14% from 50 to 57. That is considered a winning trade. Next up, we have the 516 Reddit 65 puts. And these made, again, a nice move here. So on the 10th, we had these coming in at 155. These coming up and hitting a high of, let's see here. So on the 10th, these actually hit a high of 3 on the day. I want to pop back here to Monday. Actually, I kind of want to show everybody here first. So, okay, most of that volume carrying over, but let's go to Monday. Let's see, be a better example that way. So this was our original whale entry here. So 155, you can see some coming off here at the ask. Then we have some more ask side here at 245, and that was your high there at 3. So this original whale was 1,100 contracts, and we had 3,700 contracts traded on the day here. So we only had about 2,600 carryover. So to me, seeing some of this action in here, that 224 here, maybe some of this ask side, this could be coming off because we're not seeing a lot of that carrying over. This could just be another opener here, but we do have some more volume as well down here and in here, but you're not getting that full amount carrying over. So something to kind of watch there. And again, you can see that net put premium up here, put volume up, but very interesting here because looks like that a lot of that volume's still there, but oops, let's go over here and look. So then we have, let's see, some more volume here on the 12th. Let's just take a peek here. So now that looks like contracts are getting passed off to somebody else because you don't see a big change in that open interest to the 13th. So to me, that original whale maybe sold those off to somebody else, and then they're selling them off to somebody else right now. But those contracts did, from the original entry, move from 155 to 3. That's a 93.55% return. Next up, we have the PayPal 41760 puts. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on a bunch of these. I just kind of like to hit the first kind of detailed results here just so people can kind of see what I'm looking at with the flow. So we're going to kind of just look at the movement now. So again, your PayPal here, 70, those hit a high of 102, I believe here. We got a high of 102 here on the 10th. So again, these came in on the 10th, nice move intraday, and looks like they were still hitting around 97 here on the 11th. So those moving from 70 to that max of 102, 45.71%. Our KVUE ones here, again, coming in on the 10th. We're still working on the 10th. 31. These hit a high of actually 81 or 83 was our high on the 12th, giving us a 167.74% return. Looks like they're still kind of chopping around 81 today. Then we have some SPY, the 417, 531 SPY puts. So again, these coming in on the 11th. Now we're on to the 11th. So this was our original entries. I have 795 on here. These made a nice intraday move again as well. So 795, they hit 943 here. So again, just a little bit over our 15%, hitting about 18.62% on those. And again, kind of looking at that, this looks like that whale kind of took a lot of that off intraday here. So you got your original entry there, bid side, ask, bid. So not a lot of that carrying over, only about a quarter of that carrying over. But again, those running from 795 to 943, nice 18% return there. JPM, these expired today. Again, coming in on the 11th here. We've got 222 is the entry here. These hitting a high of 330 here on the same day. So the 11th, 330. And this is actually right around here. I want to pop in here on the 11th because this whale did close same day. So again, this was your original whale entry, 714 contracts. So we had 434 there, followed by another 300. Your whale exiting here at about 310, because we can see majority of that volume didn't carry over. So that whale exited here at the ask, and that's why I always tell people not all ask side flow is a buy and not all bid side flow is a sell. You have to kind of match up numbers, kind of diagnose the flow as well too. But those JPMs, again, intraday move from 222 to 330, 48.65%. Visco, these ones made a very good move. So this was our entry here. Again, 3,000 contracts, 119, 359,000 on the premium. These hitting a high of 220 here today. So that's an 84.87% return. Again, whale looks to still be in here. Just kind of looking at the last 7 days of net premium as well. Spike here, and you can always pop this up when you're looking at flow too. That's one thing I like to do. So a lot of bullish net call premium here. But again, those VSCOs, Victoria's Secret, 417, 18 calls, moving from 119 to 220, 84%. Looks like that whale's still probably in. Next up, we have the 417 Affirm 50 calls, AFRM. And let's see. So we are going to the 11th here. Actually, let's just do it this way. So here's our 11th. This is our whale, 3,200 contracts, 389, 1.2 million. Again, you can see these actually gapped up the next day. These gapped up to we hit a high of 573 there. So that's a 46% return there. Flow's kind of chopping around 470, 466 right now. Looks like most of that's still in here. Or may have passed something off here on the 13th, sold something to somebody because we didn't have a huge... Oh, no, it looks like they actually added to their position. My apologies. So, interesting here because they're at 470. But, again, making a move from our entry from that 390 to 573, that's 46.92%. So, next up, we have... Actually, I for some reason hit PayPal and Uber. These are actually two of our flow and charts ones, so I got to come back here. So the flow and charts, these are trades that I'm taking. These are the setups that I like the most. So we're going to kind of go over the setup, just a little recap here of the setup. So, and again, I do a live stream or recording kind of with some guidance on these in Discord for those that are in Discord. So we had large whale on the 5/16/60 put. I'll just kind of pull this up. So again, that was our large whale here. That net put premium was up. A lot of put volume, good size. We were looking at gamma. I saw a big drop in that daily gamma. That stuck out to me. And when we were looking at the weekly chart, nice head and shoulders on the weekly. So I had this as two ways to take this. I was looking for a break. Let me zoom in on the chart of that 20-day moving average to the downside, or if we could see a bounce back up to that kind of the supply resistance zone area. So this flow, so I have it marked here on the 10th. This would have actually be taken place on the 11th because these are pulled from my hottest contracts that I post every night. So essentially Uber and BABA will be for the 11th. So we're going to take a peek here. So here's our 11th here. And I'm just going to go with the opening price. So 140 here is my opening price on Uber. Actually, I got 152 as my opening price here. That's what I got filled at. These actually made a nice intraday move here, 35.53%. And again, if you're kind of following some of that guidance, it really helps you kind of look for what you're doing. And let me pull up my trading view here. So again, kind of looking at my, let's come in here. So Uber, and that was on the weekly. So let me pop that weekly here. Again, we broke that 20-day moving average here, and we can see we broke that. I'll pop it onto the daily because it'll look a little better there. So on the 10th, well, okay, we're going to go with the 11th here. I'm trying to find the best chart to show this. So we can see on the 11th here, we had that 20-day at that 71.85. So 71.85, we'll look at that on the daily then. So 71.85, that's not going to cooperate here. Okay, sorry, we're going to look at that here. So you're looking for that break below that 71.85 here. So here we are on the 11th then, and 71.85. Let me just pop this line in here, 71.85. Come down here, it's going to probably be about kind of that 50-day moving average. So we're looking for that break below. So here's your break from that 70. Okay, well, 72.10. We're going to kind of pop it down a little bit. 71.72, close enough. We had almost a $3 move down from there. That's enough time to adjust stops up. Those hit about 35%. I have 35% here for me. Very good trade there on Uber. And next up we had the BABA, and you can see that move on Uber there. So BABA, let me pop that flow up here. So BABA, again, these would be coming on the 11th. So here's your 11th. We're going with 8. I have 865 as an entry here. Let me come back here. Let's see. So the 11th. So here we are, 857, 865. I got in right at open because my idea here was, let me pull this up in Discord again. So I was looking at that weekly whale. It's a little more longer term. So we're sitting at the bottom of that flag. So we had a nice bear flag, or not bear flag, bull flag here on the weekly. We were sitting right here. I was ready to take that right at open. Again, I was just saying I'm looking for a bounce to the upside from this spot. Close before that flag on the daily is my risk. So again, taking that at open, 857. These ran all the way up to 899 right away. These did hit actually a high of 1020 there on the day, and 1061 same day. So I'm trying to see where that 1061 is. 1011 up there. Let's pop this back out. So again, here's your entry, 880, or not 880, 865 is going to show that there because it's a little wider. So 1002 there, same day, so 15% same day. But these are chopping or trading at, hit a high of 1020 today. So that gave us about 17.92% max return on those. So again, I was taking these as an intraday move. I was kind of preaching all week. If you're seeing profits, take profits. I'm not looking to really swing anything that much, just to avoid a lot of the headlines that were coming in. So those were our two flow and charts plays making really good moves. So moving on here. Next up, we have the Hood 32141 calls. Again, coming in here on the 12th. Now we're onto the 12th. So I'm going to pop this down a little bit. So here's our 12th. Again, coming in at 125. Small little dip. Making a run up here again on the 12th, hitting 165 for a high. Giving us, or wait, nope, I don't want to do 165. So 149. It's like 156, 156. So that's giving us, let's see, what are we, 125, about exactly 30% return on those. And it looks like you had enough time to get up there. 6 days on those. Shorter time frames, I'm looking to take kind of profits a little quicker just with theta. All right. So again, those make a good move there. Pins, the 425.31 calls, these made a great move as well. This was our entry, 7,300 contracts, 105. Hitting a high of 175 here on the 13th, actually. So 66.67% return on those. Apple here, let's see, where are we? So the 328, 225 Apple calls. Not the best move on these. Looks like that whale kind of filled here at 336. Kind of just seeing a lot of volume here. To me, it kind of looks like they took profits off here at about, let's see, I had, where are we, 336. Looks like they kind of took some profits here about 305. Kind of that 317-ish maybe spot in here. You kind of look here, only half of that volume carried over. So I have this one at about a 6 to 10% loss here, just kind of depending. Kind of seeing that trend down all day. Maybe kind of hit break even here towards the end of the day, but this would be a loss. I have this as a loss from 340 to 317 as a 6.76% loss. For losses, I like to kind of track where that whale exited just to kind of see what happened with that. So next up, we had the PDD 314 expired today, actually. These made a massive move. So here's your PDD 103, 1,400 contracts, 153,000 on these. These hit a high of 375 today, 264% on those. Rocket, these making a good move here. 43 was the entry here. These hit a high of 58 today, 45% on those. American Airlines. Again, this one's starting to get kind of a little messy. I'm going to pop this to 2 days now. This was our entry, 29. Kind of a small drop. Kind of came back to break even again. Maybe you take some off there if not, but looks like that whale might be exiting here at about 19-ish, 17-ish, we'll say 18 there. So to me, that whale probably cutting these for, actually, let me take a peek here. So the 13th going into today. So we had 3,500 contracts plus another 1,000. Yeah, we didn't have a big chunk of that carry over, so it almost looks like to me. Let's see, some came off there, probably 1,000. A little tough there to kind of see what happened with that one because you only had about half of that volume carrying over. So kind of a lot going on there. But we'll mark that one as a loss here at that 18, so 37. That's a 37.93% loss on those ones. I don't let something... So again, with the whales, I don't always follow their exits and entries just because I'm not going to take a 37% loss on my end. It's a little too high. So the MSTRs, these are probably a hedge kind of looking back at it. 155, put almost 48% out of the money. There's 47% multi-leg on it now too. There wasn't at the time, but again, those coming down here, I have those at a loss here at... see at about 51, 56-ish. So that is about a 44% loss there. We'll go with that. So next up we have the UAL 417.72.5 calls. These making a good move as well. So entry on the 13th, Thursday, 545. Hit a high of 685 today, giving us a nice 25%, 25.5% return there. Nice move. Looks like that whale's probably still in. And we had Meta. This gapped up today. 580 was our entry here. Again, you can see we hit 750 on the day here. Kind of just chopping around those that low 7s, high 6s, but hitting 750 for a high on the day. It's 31%. So these ones obviously came in today. Today's the 14th. So not seeing a ton of movement on some of these, so I'll kind of be a little quicker on these. CCJ. Again, here's your entry, 1,000 contracts, 188. Looks like we closed at about 162, so that whale's down about 13%, but again, 33 days on those. DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods, 417, 180 put. So again, your entry here, 409. Looks like they closed about 420. Whales up 2%. Nothing there really. Pins, these actually made a move into the end of the day. So 85 was the fill for us. You can see these kind of ran into the end of the day, and you can see that run there into the end of the day. Looks like they closed at about 96, so they closed up about 12%. I'm going to consider that a win. That's a good move. End of day. And QQQ, the 425, 470 puts, again, 1126. Here's your entry. Kind of closing about 1143, 1144, so only up about 1% on those. So these ones are a little harder to kind of go over just with them kind of coming in, especially towards the end of the day. But that is all I have for this week. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and we'll be back at it next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.